Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Now today marks the first video within my brand new content series called Pro Player Insights. Within this series, I'm basically just going to VOD review some of the best mid laners in the world from all the major regions. We're going to start off today with Doinb, but down the line I want to cover players like Dopa, Showmaker, Chovy, and then go to EU, maybe review some Nemesis and Perks, go to NA and review some Bjergs and Aniski. Figure out what are all the small things that these players do. What differentiates them from the average high-elo player? What differentiates them from me and you? What's the difference between Doinb and me? You know, maybe the fundamentals are the exact same, but what are all the small things that just allow him to climb consistently in the Korean solo queue ladder and the Chinese solo queue ladder? I don't know, and that's what we're going to figure out today. Now, in order to actually get the maximum value out of these VOD reviews, I need to go in detail. I need to pay a lot of attention. So I haven't actually seen this game, so it'll be interesting to see how I break it down. And any feedback would be greatly appreciated because I haven't really done this sort of thing before. Maybe say, Curtis, don't go over that as much. Go more in detail on this. And yeah, let's just dive straight in, guys. So this first one's going to be Doinb Ryze. And I thought it'd be interesting to do Ryze specifically because Ryze is a champion that struggles in this high pressure, very threatening meta. You see a lot of mid champions at the moment like LeBlanc, Galio, Rumble mid, Lucian mid, a lot of kill threat, a lot of early pressure, even Zoe in high elo, things like that. Ryze doesn't really fit the bill. He wants to scale. He doesn't really thrive in those early 2v2s too much, although he can have decent gank setup. There's just champions that just do it better. So it'll be interesting to see how Doinb makes it work consistently. Now, Doinb as a player is an incredibly unique player. His identity revolves around push and move. He loves to be the player who creates chaos, skirmishes, dives, river fights. He loves that style of play. So it'll be really interesting to see how does he make Ryze do this? Does he just shit the bed? Does he not play well at all? I don't know. Let's figure it out. Now, quickly talking about runes, guys. Doinb has a very interesting rune page on Ryze. Now, given we spoke a little bit about his player's identity, he's actually opted in for celerity and water walking. Now, you don't really see this rune setup on Ryze very much. Usually you see Transcendence Scorch or Transcendence Gathering Storm because you want that extra CDR, you want that scaling with Gathering Storm and Transcendence, or maybe you want that a bit of extra lane poke. But given Doinb isn't a lane player, he's been known to be not that good in lane. A lot of pro players, I know LS, a lot of people actually criticize him big time. He's not known as the best laner, but his roaming, his skirmish awareness is just on another level. So it'll be really interesting to see how he utilizes these rune choices with celerity water walking, but he finishes it out the rune page quite stock standard with Taste of Blood, Ravenous Hunter, CDR in the first row. Now, on the other hand, we're actually versing a Cassiopeia. Now, Cassiopeia can opt into Conqueror or Phase Rush. Now, because this is on the left-hand side, this is a relatively low-range, low-threat team composition with Nidalee, very linear, champions like Ryze, Nidalee, Renekton, very linear, very low range. Cassio can actually just kite them quite easily and get away with taking Conqueror, which is something to note. Then in terms of summoner spells, Ryze always takes TP, you need TP, but Cassio's actually opted in for Exhaust. So it'll be very interesting to see how Doinb chooses to use this teleport advantage, whether he finds a unique way to use the teleport. I'm fascinated actually to see how he uses utility advantage. And also given that Cassio now has the skirmish advantage with the exhaust, it'll be interesting to see how he navigates around that as well. So, given we're versing a Graves, what do we know? If you've watched my jungle tracking fundamentals video, we know that Graves most likely is going to be doing more of a full clear. He can actually do Raptors quite well. So, as a mid laner, you have a few options here. Given that Ryze is most likely going to get shoved early because he can't really bully Cassio levels 1, 2, and 3. Given that he's going to get shoved, he has a choice. He can either ward level 1 on the Raptors to get a bit of information about where Graves is going to path, because Graves can actually do red, Krugs, Raptors, like a full clear. Graves can actually just do red Raptors onto bot side, or Graves can actually just do red into blue, into Gromp, and start like Machete and just like level 3 gank play for early scuttles and things like that. So as a mid laner, it'd be really good it's actually a good game to get a level 1 ward out. If he doesn't go for a level 1 ward, then it'll be interesting to see how he actually uses it instead. So as we fast forward just a little bit here, see the minion spawn. Let's see if he chooses to get a bit of information here. So he walks up, looks like he's going to ward the Raptors, but then Graves is here, so he actually decides not to. Now, as a mid laner, sometimes in these situations, what I like to do is actually get to see if this guy takes Sweeper. If the jungler takes Sweeper, I don't ward at all, but he has no idea where Mordekaiser is, probably standing right behind this Graves, and they could just probably clear the trinket from under him. Now, it's not worth Doinb just trinketing here, because, again, you don't get information about what path Graves has done. You don't know if Graves actually skips straight from red through to here, or Graves does red Krug. So, unless Doinb can get the max value deep Raptors ward, I'm assuming he's probably just not going to use it at all. So, I'm pretty sure that's the choice he makes here. He tries to feint a bit of pressure, maybe fake it, but then he realizes he's going to miss CS, I'm assuming. So, he just decides to hold on to it. So before we get into the laning specifics, guys, let's quickly talk about itemization. Doinb's opted in for Sapphire Crystal. Let's keep an eye on how he rounds out his build, because again, Ryze has so many differing item builds. You can go straight from tier into Roa. You can go skip Roa completely, go Archangels into Morellos. You can even skip tier completely, go straight into Roa, then get tier after that. There is so many different ways to build Ryze, so it'll be interesting to see which way he actually takes this build. Now, quickly talking about the lane level 1, like we established, Ryze can't really contest Cassio level 1 because Cassio's actually opted in for Conqueror. If Cassio took Phase Rush, then Ryze can somewhat contest level 1, even start W in this lane, just use a W on Cassio, then just run away. But because Cassio's level 1 threat with Conqueror with E, auto attack E is quite strong, I'm assuming Doinb's just going to respect quite a bit, and especially as well since there's no need to take aggressive trades early, since Cassio has the combat spell advantage, and when I don't think Ryze Nidalee are ever going to win those early mid-jungle 2v2s. So allowing Cassio to shove in is just the only thing you really can do. You can't really contest pressure level 1. So as a result, Doinb actually starts E, and that's the very much safer route. The thing with starting E, you can actually just use E on the range creeps, bounce the E onto the enemy champion, which allows you to proc your mana flow band. Just a really simple, safe way to reliably proc your mana flow band. Now, Doinb just looks like he's thinning the wave with auto attacks, thinning the wave with E. Ideally, you wouldn't really want to be using your E too much on the minions because you want to conserve as much mana as you can. So for every time you can proc your mana flow on the enemy, but more importantly, you want enough mana so that when the wave is in when you're ready to base, you're on maybe 500 towards 800 or 900 gold. You want enough mana so you can spam all your abilities on the wave and get a really quick, nice tempo reset, given that wave clear is one of your biggest strengths as Ryze. So it'll be interesting to see how he rations out his mana usage. I don't agree so far with how much he's using E on the wave. Maybe he feels like he can't thin it enough with auto attacks, like he's using a lot of E's at the moment, and they're not even to proc the mana flow. So I'm not entirely convinced this is the best way to play this lane, but we'll see how this plays out. Maybe he has a grand strategy in mind here. And keep in mind, like we said, Doinb's laning isn't known to be the best, so I'm going to play devil's advocate here. And when you review a pro player, you can't come in with the mindset that everything they do is correct. Some games they're going to misplay. I mean, these people aren't robots. They play lanes incorrect sometimes. They play it better than others sometimes. You just got to go in with an open mindset to think, okay, you know what? I actually really like it how he does this, and just take things from it. Or maybe I don't actually agree with the way he did this. He could have done this better, etc. So, I mean, I'm just going to play devil's advocate here. And again, this is all just my opinion. So, the strategy that I'm seeing Doinb actually do right now is a very slow, very greedy way to play Ryze. Generally, the way, like, okay, you have two options if you're in an unfavorable matchup level 1-2. You can actually just thin the wave like he's doing with E's and auto attacks. And what this is actually going to do is going to hold the wave in this location, which can be good to set up level 3 ganks with your junglers, because you can actually EW with that nice little root, which is going to give him layer that CC down for Nidalee to hit that spear. Which I don't think Ryze should be doing this game, because they lose 2v2. I mean, Nidalee's opting in for a full clear. Cassio has the combat spell advantage. I don't think it's a reliable strategy. I would prefer save mana, let Cassio actually crash the wave early on, because Cassio was spamming the wave, and then bounce the wave out at level 3. So when, like we know, Skuldle spawns at 315, you're going to be ready to fight it. But by doing this strategy, you're not going to have priority at 315. You're basically fully conceding, allowing Cassio to have the push and have wave control at 315. So this is a bit strange. I don't like the way he's rationing out his mana a bit. Let's see what he does. He gets a nice little Q there. Proc the mana flow. Thinning the wave still. And it looks like I said, he's trying to hold the wave in this nice little pocket in the lane, which is greedy. It's good for him because he gets free farm. It makes Cassio quite scared. But it's just not good for his jungler. It's not good for his team. Now, what do we see right now? It's 3:15, Scuttles are about to spawn, his bot's pushed up, Nidalee on Krugs. We know that Graves has done a top to bot clear, so they should be expecting a potential fight to break out. And now, look what I said, because Doinb's opted in for this very greedy style of playing the early lane, Cassio gets free shove, gets to access into river first, and then skirmish breaks out. Now, Doinb has a choice to make here. It'll be interesting to see what decision he makes, but I want to preface this with something. As a mid laner, you have a choice. You can actually just straight up hard shove, knowing that, just accept reality that Cassio's actually got shove on the wave. I'm not going to be able to get to the fight. The fight's probably going to, I'm just going to ping back, play very greedy, shove the wave, get an insta reset, get a bit of tempo in the lane, etc. Or you can assess the situation, say to yourself, okay, this is actually going to be an extended fight and I can maybe clean up here. Now, the only downside of this is that Doinb's used half of his mana pool, thinning the wave and trying to keep it outside his tower. And one full combo is going to be So he doesn't really offer much in this skirmish. So he decides to commit. I don't know if this is the correct play. And Nautilus Flash. He's got his Celerity Water Walking here, which is coming in handy. The hits by Q, gets exhausted, gets miasmed into Nautilus Q into die. Then Cassio actually flashed there as well. So Ryze still has flash, but Cassio has no summoners, which is a massive upside. Renekton dies. Graves gets a double kill. Kai'Sa gets a kill. Ryze is TPing in. Mordekaiser no flash as well. I'm assuming Doinb's the flash timer master. If you watch his stream, he like times every single summoner. So very good for Ryze as well because you got CC. Bang. Gets that kill on the back end. Now, given those chain of events, it's not too bad for Ryze right now. We know that he has TP, so he actually gets to the wave first. He gets a kill on the back end here. And now this is actually why I love TP in solo queue. TP is so versatile. It can be used for tempo bases. It can be used for cleaning up kills. It can be used for counter ganking. It's such a beautiful summoner. I love it. I just love TP. So in this moment, what does he have? He has 350 gold. He can't really get much. One or two things is going to happen. He's going to start hard spamming the wave, pushing the next wave, and basing for maybe another Sapphire Crystal, something like that, and a Pink Ward, because he has no Pink Wards. Or he's going to stay in the lane for a long time, given that he has quite a bit of mana sustain with his tier, and maybe save up for a Catalyst or a Lost Chapter. So we'll see what he actually does here, knowing that he has a little bit of room to just to farm, because Cassio doesn't have teleport. And he also knows that Cassio doesn't have either summoner. So that's actually really big for for setting up ganks. And what's the other thing? As a mid laner, your job is to identify which side you ideally want to play towards. Renekton has a kill. Bot lane's actually died. We don't know completely how the lanes are going to pan out because bot lane can still win and top lane might still lose. But it's good to keep an eye on what we know about the side lanes. Now, if Doinb wants to stay in lane, he should be very much rationing out his mana. Really shouldn't be using his mana too much here. So he takes a trade here. This says to me that he's going to base, so he gets that wave in. The next wave's not a cannon though, so I can't say that's a good move. Ends up starting his recall here, but decides not to base because maybe not happy with the amount of gold, not happy with the wave, knowing it's not a cannon and that Cassio is going to deny him a whole wave. I think this is really not played well by Doinb because think about it. This is the perfect example of being 50-50. You're using all your mana, trading resources, but then you're staying, which doesn't benefit you because Cassio's actually opted in for a very early greedy Doran's Ring and actually has Corrupting Pot as well. So you don't win that style of trade. Ideally, you're only heavy trading for the wave like you did there, using all your resources if you want to reset. So what this says to me, I don't like this at all. Because now he's somewhat only has no pink wards, loses 1v1, and is not offering anything to the team at this point in time. The only reason that I'm thinking he's doing this is because Nidalee coming out of base, and maybe he wants to back up Nidalee. Maybe he thinks Nidalee's going to do something top. I don't know. Let's see actually what happens. So he ends up warding here. This ends up being pinked. I don't agree with this ward either by Doinb, because what do we know? Well, my theory about warding is that if it doesn't change your behavior with how you can play the lane, it's not a good ward. Now, let's just say hypothetically this wasn't pinked. Let's just say that this wasn't pinked and that he just has a ward here. Will this change what happens in the lane? Will he get priority? Will he be able to play aggressive? I don't even think so. I think even if that isn't pinked, he still can't do anything. But anyway, we know that most likely Graves is back onto his rubber banded camps on top side. Like we know, standard jungle tracking. Nidalee's back onto her rubber banded camps as well. So Doinb's just taking a little bit of a backseat at the moment. Now Graves shows on the map. Looks for a gank. It looks like Doinb's slowing down the pace of the lane now. So I'm assuming he's like, well, you know what? I can actually minimize this lane. Maybe he's working towards... He's only got 700 gold. Maybe he wants to stay. Lost Chapter or a Catalyst. He knows he can't really, and he also knows that there is a lot of kill threat on this guy. So maybe he's trying to hold the wave in a position to set up a gank on Cassio, because like we know, Cassio with no sums, with empowered with your W, can actually be a really good way to set up ganks on these immobile mages. So he's stealing the wave, making sure he can't crash it. I'm assuming. I like it. Cassio's playing very aggressive. Nidalee's in the area. So Nidalee's pinging on the way here. So let's see how Doinb plays this. For ease, he's trying to keep her interested. Not Wing. Look how good this is. He's not insta-Wing because he knows Nidalee's not anywhere in the area to follow up on his CC. So he's trying to hold that W for as long as possible. Keep Cassio interested. I love that. I love how he played it aggressive enough to keep Cassio interested and tried to hold his CC as long as possible, just so you know, Nidalee could close that gap. He really needs to base now. So he has 1100 gold. This is a really good amount of gold to base on. It's not a cannon wave, but he has no mana. Cassio doesn't have TPs coming up in 5 seconds. I still think he should be calling jungler here to help him shove this out, because tempo is really important on Ryze. So he ends up not doing that, not calling his jungler, just auto attacking the wave down. Fast forwarding a little bit here. Gets the wave in slowly. That's so painful to watch. And now Ryze, Cassio can actually set up a bit of a freeze here. It's not going to freeze permanently, but it is going to deny a bit of CS. Oh, this is the Doinb classic. Oh man, so I've watched a lot of Doinb VODs in the past. It always makes me laugh when I see this. This is no other mid laner in the game does this. And I don't even know what to think about it. It's so funny. So most mid laners there will either call their jungler, they've got 1300 gold, they will take the reset, they want to spend their gold, the jungler's based as well. It's the perfect opportunity. Yes, you lose a bit of farm, but it doesn't matter, you want to be spending your gold. But he does this so often. He pushes, moves into river, gets this, gets the plant, then comes back to lane. There is no mid laner on earth that utilizes plant better than Doinb. If you watch his VODs, consistently abuses so when he plays champions like Rumble, Ryze, all these champions, he gets away with things, taking a bad trade and then just picking up the fruit. No other mid laner utilizes fruit better than him. So if we're going to take one thing from this whole VOD, guys, not that to say that I agree with this situation, I have tried this every now and then. It's still not comfortable for me, but utilize fruit. If you know, you can actually just pan on the camera and you can see the fruit's up by just seeing the little green dot. If you see it's up, you can actually take an aggressive trade, walk into river, get the fruit, come back, and then you just win lane. So this doesn't help him win lane, but it helps him stay in lane longer. This is incredibly greedy from Doinb. I'm just not a fan at all. But look at this. His wave's screwed. Nidalee's coming back on the map, but it's just causing a lot of strife for his team, given that he has so much gold. So funny, man. It actually makes me laugh, because I just picture Doinb just laughing, and he was doing his like little memes and stuff, like thinking, someone should make a Doinb fruit meme. Gets the wave in with his support hovering. Most players are not going to have this luxury though. I mean, maybe at high elo in some servers they will back you up to help allow, like, so that Bard realized his wave was screwed, hovered him to get the wave out. But in lower elo, you're just not gonna get that luxury. People aren't gonna help you fix waves. So Bard ends up having to blow flash because of it as well. He gets his blue buff. He's sitting on a ridiculous amount of gold, all because he doesn't want to lose farm. Like, come on, man, that's so greedy. That is so greedy. So what do we know now? We see that Renekton and Nidalee are incredibly fed. So I'm assuming that he's just going to find a way to make a roam play topside. And there's no way they can contest bot 2v2. Nautilus and Kai'Sa have so much threat. Especially now that Bard doesn't have flash. Like, they don't control bot river anymore. So he's staying. He sees Nidalee topside. Graves on bot side, destroying his support. Okay, does he finally base? He's got 1900 gold. He sees top winning. He sees him about to do dragon. So I'm assuming here, Doinb's like, yes, this is a cannon wave, but I have blue buff. I can get this wave very fast. I'm assuming Cassio is going to help Graves on this dragon. So maybe this is a quick way for me to get a really valuable reset. Again, he's playing so greedy, man. Greedy. Please base, man. Please base. You're on 2,100 gold. So Renekton actually has built this wave. Ryze doesn't have TP yet. He hovers topside. I love this, actually. I love sitting on this. So, okay. Okay, I want to see if he actually finishes the recall here. Okay. Okay, so this is a very classic Doinb move as well. So what do we know here? I don't mind that given that he stayed for so long, he might as well stay for that next cannon wave, given that it's a cannon wave, he has blue buff, he can clear it incredibly fast, and I'm guessing his theory was that Cassio was actually going to help Graves with that mountain dragon, so he might get a bit of room to base. Instead of just basing over here, he walks over the pink ward, and this is actually something you can do. You can actually purposely walk over a pink ward and base out of vision, because then they don't know where you are. They know you're in here. And what this is actually doing is that it tells Mordekaiser that Mordekaiser has to be scared. Because Mordekaiser doesn't know if Ryze is actually just recalling in this bush or is fully committing and using the blast cone and sitting in here. And I actually really like that. The fact that he walked over the pink ward, doesn't spend time doing that. He knew, panned his camera topside, I'm assuming, knew that Renekton had a built wave. He knew that Graves was bot side. He knew that his jungle was topside. So he's playing towards his jungler, playing towards his strong side, knew that Renekton had a built wave, knew that Nidalee actually has Rift Herald as well. So this is a really solid roam because it just complements his team doing what they want to do. It guarantees that Mordekaiser can't stay under tower, because maybe he might stay 1v2, but he won't stay 3v1. And yeah, so he stays. So I still think that he could have done all of this anyway if he had taken an earlier recall, and he would have had more threat given he had had more gold. Because look at this. Yes, he gets a catalyst and a blasting wand, but big whoop, man. You would have got a catalyst and boots anyway, like for ages ago. Like, I don't know. So I like that. There's a little tip there for you guys. Walk over wards on purpose if you know that there's a built wave to increase the level of threat. And knowing that you really just want to recall anyway, you don't really want to commit to that. And basing on the blast cone is nice as well, because if they show, you can just go, and if they don't show, you just recall. So it's quite nice. So he's got one strong side of the map, one weak side of the map, which is usually what happens in solo queue, pretty stock standard stuff. He's 1-1-3, farming not bad. I mean, Cassio's done the same thing, stayed on a lot of gold as well. I'm just not a fan of that. Ends up Ryze ulting here. Getting Graves' flash, nice. They're still top. He knows Graves is bot side. He knows this is an isolated 1v1. See what he does. Just roams. Doesn't go for plates. This is what I always say in my videos, guys. Never go for plates, man. Going for plates is such a low value play on these champions. Like, unless your champion just straight up can't roam and there's no kill threat anywhere, which a lot of the time there's always something to do. Like, either way, he could have, I mean, yes, he could have got plates and then got, like, Raptors here if there wasn't kill threat topside. But I just love, being out of vision. Because, let's just say, you couldn't kill Mordekaiser. But let's just say Mordekaiser maybe really wanted to punish this Renekton for overstaying. But if Ryze is out of vision, this Mordekaiser is actually going to have to respect and not be able to trade aggressively onto this Renekton. So the beauty of hovering out of vision doesn't just help you, it actually limits the way these guys can play the lane, and more importantly, creates a bit of chaos, because now Cassio doesn't know, should he go Cassio straight out of base to top, or Cassio straight out of base to mid? That's another little thing there. And it puts a little bit of confusion on for the jungler where they need to be as well. Does Graves need to insta base to hover topside so they don't dive? Or actually, it might even prevent Graves from fully trading and killing bot, because they know that they might be diving top. So it might actually sway. Is it dissuade? Sway? Whatever. And prevent Graves from wanting to fully trade sides of the map. So there's a lot of benefits from just being out of vision. I think Doinb really understands this concept. So he uses his pink aggressively here, knows that this guy is quite behind, uses Empower W, and then they just kill him again. I just love this. I love this style of just bullying one side of the map. You know that you have one strong side, just fully commit to it. Knowing that, like, yes, you could have got a plate, maybe 2 plates, you could have got plates and raptors. But again, just really complementing your strong side. It's a great way to snowball the game. So he has enough gold here for Roa. So we'll see what he does here. So if he bases Q. Wow, just running him down. Machine gun. I love the way you can tell good Ryze players by the amount of autos they weave in their combo. The more auto attacks you see in a Ryze combo, the more comfortable they are, generally just the better they are at Ryze. So overall, you always want to be looking to auto attack in between the cooldowns of your abilities. So he gets that kill, really nice. He's got his Roa. I'm assuming he's going to be building Mercury Treads this game for the Null Magic Mantle. He's got TP here, so let's see what he does. Comes out of base. What do we see? We see Cassio back mid. He doesn't have ultimate. Fight looks like it's breaking out. TPs, bang. This is such a Doinb move as well. Even if you're unsure about if the fight's going to be good or not, he just goes for the plays. Very chaotic style. To be honest, I don't think he's got much value from this celerity and water walking. Like, look at this. So you can actually see, I can actually see here, you get extra distance traveled this game, 2,544. I don't know what that is in a real pragmatic sense. He gets adaptive force. He got 16 adaptive force from getting in the river, which is good in these fights, but how many river skirmishes have there been? I mean, I just don't think you're just getting that much value from it, really. So I'm going to have to disagree with Doinb taking it, personally. So just grouping. Really grouping here. Wants to match Cassio here. Playing for the wave. Knowing that these teams just making a play bot side. I love this as well. Pretty standard stuff here where he knows his jungler. They're looking for a make a play bot side. There's no need to heavy trade here because all this is doing is making him vulnerable, knowing that they have to respect bot side and not giving the enemy an option to make a play on him. Yes, he could take an aggressive trade where maybe they trade 60% HP, 60% HP, but you know, Graves is most likely going to be on this area. You know, Nautilus is going to be around this area. And it looks like Renekton and Nidalee are fully committing to this bot side. They're like 4-manning bot. There's no need to give them enemy any form of counterplay. So this is he's just minimizing at this point in time. Makes a lot of sense. Looks like he's probably going to catch top wave, I'm assuming here. See what he does. A big wave here. Renekton goes mid, but again, this is just being more efficient. So I get this question a lot, like, how do you keep up and farm in mid-game throughout the game, even if the game's chaotic? Like, looking at his farm, it's 106. He's got 106. Yes, he played quite greedy in the early game to get this farm. But in mid-game, it's not about... Yes, lane assignments are important, but keep in mind, if the enemy top laner, if your top laner goes for a play, or maybe your jungler's looking for a play, or your top laner dies, you can soak up multiple lanes of farm and camps in the meantime. You shouldn't just view your lane assignment as like super rigid. It's like, I am going to be in this lane for the whole game. I can't go top at all. I'm a mid laner. I need to be mid. If top laner made a play, you can roam and you can compensate. You can catch waves on the back end. So he looks like he's getting a bit cheesed here. Oh, he gets killed. That's such a random kill. I'd be so tilted if I died there at that location. Anyway, he gets his finishes, his mercs, fast forwarding a little bit. His team's kind of stomping at the moment. He doesn't have TP, so he can't really do much. Now, Doinb hasn't... I mean, one thing he's done well this game, he's really snowballed his Renekton and his Nidalee, and he hasn't really given the enemy opportunities to kill him, even when he got behind. And he stayed up in farm quite well, given how chaotic this game is as well. So he gets his blue here. Beautiful. Gets wolves on the... Again, this is what I'm talking about. Gets wolves on the way back to lane. This is how you get a decent amount of farm in mid-game. You get camps in between things whenever you can. So this fight... Let's actually see if there's a fight breaks down and how he plays this fight. So we know that Ryze can play front-to-back fights into this composition, but he does need to be careful because Cassio can kite their whole team quite well. So they're going to have to probably play the fight quite fast with Renekton and Nidalee here. Trying to control vision here. Always get mid-wave. Do not give them an option to ditch dragon for mid-tower. Stays mid, knows they're probably trading off the dragon. And what is he doing here? He knows that they're probably going to soak top farm again. So he knows that he wants to be mid, but he's closer to top wave. So it's easier for Renekton to catch the mid wave than it is for Renekton go from all the way from dragon to all the way top. He's going to miss farm. So again, Doinb on the way through, getting Gromp, getting this top wave, because Renekton wouldn't have been here in time. Renekton's able to catch that mid wave, then he's able to go top, catch that farm. And because he beats Mordekaiser anyway, it's not a big deal. So he'll probably only catch this one wave and then swap again with Renekton. He probably won't stay in this lane unless AD carry and support go mid. If AD carry and support go mid, then he will stay in a side lane. Then Renekton will go bot. Because this Rift Herald's the next objective. So he gets that wave. Comes down for river control. Notice how he doesn't continue to push this out. He doesn't have enough information to continue push out this wave. He knows his team's starting Rift Herald. If you look at their line of vision, they've only got river vision. They don't have any river vision. They don't have vision past the river. So a good guideline for you guys, whether to know how many waves you can push in the side lane, is look at your line of vision. If we extend this line vertically, I'll draw on the money map here. If we extend this line vertically where we have vision, that's generally, as a very rough guideline, where you want to be pushing up to. So if this line, if we had maybe a ward like up here and up here, then this line's going to be much deeper. You can generally shove a lot deeper into the lane. So that's what we call line of vision. That's why line of vision is actually quite important to understand. So he's just hovering here, clearing a bit of vision. And notice how, again, Doinb is actually up in farm purely because he's farmed sideways quite well. He's farmed those jungle camps. Now, Bard's hovering him topside. He sees Graves, so he knows it's an isolated 1v1 top. Instead of pushing it out top, he's looking to group. And this is a very common thing you see in Korean solo queue. Most players in this position in lower elos or other regions, they will just stay top. Knowing that Ryze, he has ultimate very soon, he'll be telling his team, back, back, back. I can go top. I can just split push. I beat Mordekaiser. But if your team's stronger, split pushing isn't the best way to play the game. Think about it. Actually, what's an analogy for this? So, okay, imagine a boxing match. Say you're winning the first 3 rounds and the other guy's just really tired. You're not just going to take a back seat for, you know, the next 2 rounds to let the guy recover a little bit. No, you're going to step on his throat. You want to even push the pace as hard as you can to finish him while he is wounded, while he is tired. You don't want to allow them to get back into the game. That's the theory behind Korean League of Legends and more importantly Korean solo queue. They always try and push the pace of the game. Doinb can theoretically go top, split push because his ultimate's coming out very soon and he can ping his team back. They have no engage, so they can't engage. But or he could just group. He knows his Renekton's grouping. His team's here. They've got Rift Herald. A fight could potentially break out. And look what they do. Bang. Bard ults into... He's trying to follow up. And now look, it's just a team fight here. And then he wouldn't, if he was top, none of this would have happened. And you can't trust your team, especially in Korean solo queue, to not engage. Because I've tried it. When I play Korean solo queue, they will fight. If they're stronger, they will fight. And if the enemy sees you in the side lane, they will fight the 4v5. They will try and force. So you can't reliably split push unless you know everyone's dead, everyone's reset, etc. Now, he plays this fight. He gets Nautilus ulted. He runs out for a bit of self-peel here. Playing front to back, not doing anything too special here. Pretty stock standard stuff. So as this fight continues here, looks like they're continuing the siege, knowing that they also have, they got that tower, they got a few kills advantage. Mordekaiser's out of position. He tries to use his ultimate here to pincer this Mordekaiser, but it looks like the game is basically over at this point. And Mordekaiser ults here. So unfortunately, the VOD actually ends here. I don't really know why. I've had a lot of issues with OPGG and watching these replays. If you have any feedback or in terms of like how to prevent these problems from happening, just let me know, but I don't really know a way to avoid it. But I feel like there's still a lot of value to take from this VOD. So what we're going to do now, we're going to talk about some of the key takeaways from this Doinb Ryze game. So let's go over the key takeaways for this VOD. Now, this is very important to do because if you just watch a VOD, then watch another VOD, then watch a VOD, like people become obsessed with the amount of VODs that they watch, but it's not about the amount of VODs that you watch. It's about what are you actually getting from it. It's not something you can just flex. I watched 1,000 VODs this year. You know, I watch 10 VODs a day. That's how good I am at the game. No, it's just not the case. Like, what are you getting from it? Are you just autopiloting watching it, or are you actually trying to get information to increase your level of play? So for me, these are the key takeaways. One thing, I get amazed when I watch Doinb because he's incredibly versatile and doesn't limit himself. And what I mean by this is that, yes, he's playing Ryze, which is traditionally a very slow champion that can't really go to these early skirmishes, but because he doesn't view his champ in a very rigid sense, so he has champion mastery and understands the champion identity, but he pushes the boundaries. His understanding of the champion identity is very in-depth, and he's able to make good of situations that otherwise would have been incredibly poor. The next, he was able to snowball the winning side very well, so he's very good at identifying the winning side and doing what he can to snowball it. The few things that he did well this game was hover out of vision to increase the amount of threat put onto Mordekaiser. He actually walked over that ward on purpose to exert a lot of pressure, which was really, really nice, and was always looking to roam. He ended up roaming twice and killing that Mordekaiser, which was quite nice. He was able to keep up in farm regardless of his early death. When you die early as Ryze, sometimes it can be very hard, and especially in this very chaotic game, there was a lot of kills, a lot of skirmishes. He was able to keep up in farm relatively good. He did this by getting jungle camps, collecting side waves. He just did a really good job of keeping up in farm. He utilized his vision and plans very well. So what I mean by utilize his vision, he always leans out of vision to create some form of threats. Like, he's very good at that. And what I mean by plants is, like I said, he uses the plants better than any other mid laner. So he gets those fruit, that fruit is a plant or fruit, whatever it is. He utilizes that fruit so well. And it's a very interesting, unique way of playing mid lane. So that's a massive takeaway, and something whenever I watch Doinb makes me realize how little I use that plant. I get those fruits because they're really big for mid lane if you can abuse them. He's able to adapt with lane assignments for maximizing farm. Now, this is a big one, a massive takeaway for you guys, because I always get asked this question, you know, how do you keep up in farm, etc. Now, again, if your top laner roams, or your jungler and your top are doing something else, or maybe your bot lane somewhere else doing something or dead, you can catch 2 lanes of farm. You can, because when Renekton was actually at the dragon, he ended up going top instead, and then telling Renekton to catch the next mid wave because it's more efficient for him to go, because he's closer to the wave. So a principle that we used to have in Dire Wars was whoever was closest to the wave, just get the wave, and then we can fix the lane assignments after. And then I'll say the 3 downsides of Doinb's gameplay was that he overstays in lane. He overstayed in lane. I just don't agree with this. I think this allowed him to not push his lead enough. Like, he actually got ahead in the lane, had a really good solid base. He actually killed Cassio, but never based. Maybe he just greeted because he wanted to stay for more gold, or because he didn't want to miss CS. I don't know why. Yeah, I just don't agree with this at all. I think that's a mistake. Greedy early laning strategy. People always do criticize his early laning. I also am a bit hypercritical over it. I think that it's very greedy the way he played the early laning phase. Used a lot of mana on the wave to thin it and hold it in that position for no real reason, rather than just allowing it to crash. And I don't believe his rune choice is good. Celerity Waterwalking, it just seems so low value, man. Like, I was literally looking at what you got from it. It's just not worth it. Straight up. Like, I can't. Sorry, Doinb. I just disagree. And, you know, maybe we can have a conversation sometime about it, but I'm just not a big fan. And until I see the benefits of it, I can't take those runes. So hopefully this video was really, really helpful. I'm assuming I wasn't that good at it because it's my first time. I don't really know what to cover, what you guys want to see. So any feedback would be greatly appreciated. Tell me what are some other players you want me to look for, and I'll start spamming some more of these videos within this content series. Cheers.